Hello, I'm Susan.
And I'm Laura. Welcome
Hi, Laura.
back to Conversations Beyond Borders.
Yes, welcome back to our fifth episode of the second season already. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy. But we are thrilled that you're with us. And we are talking today about a very important topic. A topic that maybe years ago wasn't discussed, but it's the part of menopause that maybe we never expected. Because I don't know about you, Laura, but my impression of menopause when I was younger was kind of one-sided. And
Hmm.
that's because it was this image of my mom and aunts and any woman that I know using these fans all the time, right?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
this somehow I was going to have an increase in body temperature, and for me that was a welcome thing because I'm like always cold. So I thought, well, great, if that's what's going to happen, maybe I'll be the happiest person in menopause. But I think today, and our discussion, Laura, preparing for this, is that there's a lot more than just the physical changes, and it's really important to discuss, I think, the overall impact that menopause may have on midlife women. And those are the
Absolutely.
emotional ones, the
Hmm.
mental ones,
Hmm.
even the identity shifts that happen in menopause, because it's simply something, it's not just simply something our bodies are experiencing,
Right. Agree.
right? It maybe for the first time, maybe for the first time after our conversation, you might see yourself differently and hopefully feel supported
Yes.
and understood, because for me, information is power, and the more that we can discuss something, even if it's sometimes uncomfortable,
Hmm.
I think it's important that we yeah. So let's discuss the first thing. What we thought menopause would be. What was your impression growing up?
Oh boy. So in my 30s and 40s, my mother was going through it. So I
Yep.
figured it was going to be hot flashes. I figured it was going to be night sweats because I heard many times about how, waking up in a pool of sweat and, waking
Change
up
in the
with
sheets.
chills and changing the sheets at,
Yep.
2 o'clock in the morning. Um, and I figured it was going to be also a little bit of a time period when we become a little bit, I don't know, psychotic. Things get a little emotional.
Yeah.
Growing up, obviously, as a female, I think a lot of anytime we get emotional, it all goes back to our hormones, and men and everybody else, well, not everybody else, but men like to blame,
Yep.
our
It's true.
moods on hormones. It has nothing to do with the fact that we keep tripping over their shoes and we're just tired of it.
Right. Right.
It's all
Yeah.
about the
No.
hormones.
Amen.
Yeah, so I figured it was gonna be, yeah, just a lot of, like you said, a lot of body heat and a lot of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of
Well,
crazy.
it. I don't know. You know how you thought, but I think there were times even when I think women carried a lot of shame, that
Oh,
it
for
was
sure.
something that you're right. Maybe you were short tempered.
Mhm.
Maybe you had no sleep. But somehow it was something not discussed,
Right.
and something that that was almost hid.
Yes, yes. Well, and I think too that goes back to previous generations and how there wasn't only a lack of information, there wasn't a lack of awareness,
Yeah.
also a lack of awareness, but there was a level of shame for anything that happened in our vaginal area. It's
Right.
like, I'm sorry, we bleed. And that's just the way God made us.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, that there was a lot of shame around that.
Right. Right. I think I don't know about you, but I believed probably that women some time ago were seen as, yes, we were the child bearers. We were the
Hmm.
ones that was our role.
Mhm.
and any suffering around that, whether it be breastfeeding, whether it
Mhm.
be anything that you're right, that we deliver babies through our vaginas.
Right.
Men didn't even go into the
Right.
delivery
They
room,
weren't yeah, they weren't allowed.
right?
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
you're right. I think you're right about it was this secret
Mhm.
place that
Mhm.
you stayed quiet about, and certainly men didn't talk about.
No. No.
Yeah. So let's move on to maybe some of the other surprises that happen to our bodies that maybe go beyond the physical. We know, we're looking in the mirror and we're not recognizing ourselves. We know the wrinkles are appearing. We know the gray hair is thinning. We feel less energetic. Doesn't this all sound wonderful?
Oh, yeah, yeah, great
Um,
time grand time.
Grand time. But menopause goes well beyond that.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit about maybe some of those emotional changes that we may not have been prepared for or even understand that that would be a part of menopause.
No, for sure, for sure. I will say that, again, going back to the physical stuff, we heard about the hot flashes, we heard about the night sweats,
Yep.
and we heard about the, estrogen levels. You're going to get a little crazy. Um,
Yep.
but and to give, our parents' generation a little bit of credit, I'm guessing the reason we didn't hear about some of these things isn't necessarily shrouded in shame, like the physical piece could have been, but I think it has to do with just a lack of awareness.
Right.
And so for me, there was a level of grief that I did not expect. And when you sit and think about it just in a very basic manner, anytime there is a loss of anything within your life, there's going to be some level of grief.
Absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be the loss of a loved one. It doesn't have to be
Nope.
the loss of a pet to throw you in grief. I mean, it's just a loss of something that was meaningful, right?
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
When we're losing our mental sharpness or we are having these mood swings or losing our confidence socially as well, feeling less resilient,
Mhm.
we are really feeling very much like a different person.
Correct.
And I
Yeah.
think that would catch most people by surprise. I think there
Yeah.
are the things that wouldn't, like, I think, I don't know, in your women's circles, but we always chat about the fact that, someone's got to finish our sentence or somebody better remember the name I'm trying to come up with. Um,
Right.
I think perhaps our generation, I didn't I did not anticipate having the memory issues so soon.
Mhm.
And I think we are hypersensitive because of the prevalence of dementia and Alzheimer's. I think we really begin to worry, is this menopause or is it something else?
Right. Right. Well, as long as I feel the same way. First of all, I have to say I feel the same way. Paranoid about memory issues for sure,
Yeah.
and I have nothing to base that on. I have got to say I have nothing to base that on. I do not have a family history of it. Um,
Ditto. Yeah.
but
Same.
it's still there, right?
Yeah.
And but so what I do when I try to when I start to get a little insecure about it, it's like, okay, is this short-term memory? Did
Mm.
I just did I walk into a room and then just totally forget?
Yes. Yes.
Or is
Good
it
point.
long-term memory,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if it's short-term memory, not a problem. Overcommitted, trying to do too many things on my mind. I mean, and maybe that's
So
where
true.
our short-term memory does come as an issue in menopause because there is so much that we're trying to manage right now
Right. Right.
with aging parents, or parents who've passed recently, or kids moving out, because unfortunately for us, as we're going through menopause, we are the same age as all these things that are usually happening,
True.
including we could be retiring or looking at a job change, and that's a lot of loss.
That is
So
a lot
try
of loss.
a lot of loss. And so trying to manage all of that grief and trying to manage all of those details and trying to manage all of our emotions around all of that, I think we can give ourselves a little bit of break, and it's okay if we
Yeah.
walk into the kitchen and forgot that we went there for a bottle of
Right.
water.
Right. Well, let's get into the grief part of it, because I don't think that that word is typically associated with menopause. I think it
No.
is this grin and bear it kind of philosophy. But the word grief, as you have described, you're right. We haven't lost a person, but we've lost something,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
We've lost
Right.
something. Our bodies no longer feel familiar.
Mm-mm.
But I know that we want to discuss something that happened pretty recently with you.
Right.
And again, because I'm just a little bit older than you, um, you reminded me of feeling the same way.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to discuss one aspect of that grief. So, do you want to
Right.
fill us in?
Yeah, yeah, and also, to point out that our journeys here are different also just because of the physical differences in how our bodies
Absolutely.
have what the things we've had to do, right?
Yeah, like I
So
had to have a hysterectomy.
mhm,
So a
right.
lot of those um, signs and symptoms of menopause were really confusing for me. But I know that, yeah, you're right. Your journey is much, much, much more different. And I think
Yeah.
that our audience would really benefit from you talking about that, if you don't mind.
No, not at all, not at all. So, I had to have a intervaginal no, transvaginal
Yep.
ultrasound. That's a
Hmm.
good time, let me tell you. But but I will say it was really cool to be able to see, they put a monitor up and you got to see, all of
Right?
your insides. It was in the grayscale, but it was still kind of cool.
Yeah.
Never actually saw, what the inside looks like without having a baby in there.
Right.
So I
Right.
found that to be actually really, really cool.
It is cool.
But a little bit of history on why, because I think it's also important for the listeners for their own awareness, because I would
Yeah.
hate to have somebody else go through this. Um, about a year ago, a different doctor put me on estrogen without progesterone.
Right.
And estrogen encourages our bodies to, create
And
a
prepare, right?
yeah, prepare. Exactly. Estrogen prepares the body to bear a child. So the uterus is then encouraged to get thicker. Well, then the progesterone is what comes in that actually, you know, decreases that and keeps that from happening. So, because I was on estrogen for a year without progesterone, we have
And
found
not informed as such.
no, no, not informed at all. No, no. So I will say to my doctor's credit, she did try to put me on progesterone. I had a reaction to it, but there
Uh,
was never a further discussion
yeah,
on,
of why, right?
yeah, yeah, that I need this. This is why I need this. Let's try something else.
Yeah.
Um, so fast forward a year, and we have found that my uterus is now 3 times thicker than what it's supposed to be.
Ah, I know. That is scary to hear.
Well, it's a little odd to think that something like that is growing in your
Well,
body and you
data
don't
doesn't
know.
lie, right?
Right.
We're supposed to be looking at the normal numbers, and then we get numbers like that,
Yeah.
and you can't help but be alarmed.
Yeah,
Doesn't
yeah.
necessarily have to mean that, really bad things are going to happen, but I'm
No.
just thrilled that your new doctor caught this and
Mhm.
you're, yeah,
Yeah.
exploring it.
Yeah, no, me too, me too. And I've done my own research. I mean, chances are everything's gonna be fine. They'll end up putting me on a protocol, we'll figure it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But the grief piece, going back to the grief
Yes.
piece. So have the ultrasound, get the radiologist report back. And on the report, it said right ovary not visualized.
Yeah, like what?
And I had to sit in that for a minute. And I'm like, at first I was thinking, oh, it's just because of the ultrasound. Because they did an external one first, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
It's
oh, it's
like
just
not being
because
able to find out if it's a girl or a boy. The boy part
right,
just can't be
right.
found.
It flipped. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking at first, I'm thinking, well, maybe they just didn't take the little thing and like
Right.
move it over to that
Right.
side far enough.
Right.
And so then doing my research, I see this this is common after menopause,
Like,
that the ovaries are no
wow,
longer visible because they shrink.
shrinks so much. Yep.
And realizing, and again, I am I don't even remember how old I am. How old am I? I'm 58, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 58. Um, and I do not want to start over. I do not desire to have any more children.
Of course
I
not.
want to be free and enjoy life in the
And
regards
healthy
of
and
being able to
yep.
travel and pick up and go and all the things, right?
Yep.
Um, but the thought of the finality and the fact that I have had this little ovary hanging out in my body, since I was born,
Yep.
and now it's no longer there.
Yep.
There was a very weird
Yeah,
grief
you had a
over it.
tough week, right? You had a
Yeah.
tough
Yeah.
week.
It just kind of threw me into a funk. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I think those are the parts that we don't necessarily talk about.
No.
We don't talk about the fact that, um, yeah, we have obviously a fertile period, and there are lots of options associated that depending on what your journey looks like.
Right.
And you're right. It's not like you want to expand your family, but it's like something is taken away permanently. And I think that is a grief, that is a loss. And I'd be really interested to hear from our audience um, about women's experiences like this. Like,
Mhm.
what are what are your surprises that you've learned, whether it you knew about it or not? We all have different bodies and we all have different experiences, and I think it's important to share
Right.
and to talk about and to normalize
Mhm.
this conversation so
Yeah.
that women are not hiding in the corner trying to
No.
figure out why they feel a certain way. And
And not feel alone. It's like, don't feel alone. Don't, like, cuz like you said, I mean, I still think there's a little bit of apprehension. I'm not going to say shame, because I think that's a little too heavy. And there may be for some people
yeah,
shame talking about it, but the only way we're going to get rid of the shame is to, like you said, start normalizing the conversations.
yeah,
Cuz at the end of the day, this is normal. Everybody goes through it. Every woman goes through it
yeah,
to some level, somehow. The journey
some
may look
extent.
different,
Yeah,
but we're still going through it.
right.
Yeah, and we should
And
never feel alone for something that every other female is going through.
well, we certainly know men aren't very good at this conversation, though even though the change that they
Mm,
identified many years ago, um, men do go through a period themselves of change and reckoning that looks very different
yeah.
than who they might identify themselves. Yes, you may call it something different. They're going out and buying the red Corvette and they're right.
Yeah,
They're trying to make sure they're not losing the youthfulness
yeah,
that they once had. So much better that men even be a part of this conversation
yeah.
so they can support each other, they can support females in their
Mhm,
lives,
mhm.
mothers, sisters, wives,
Agree.
and by normalizing it. And the other aspect of this, even when you and I talked, is that we don't like to talk about sort of the negatives parts of midlife. We talk about the realities for sure.
Right.
But we realized even in menopause, there was something
Mm.
that it was giving us,
Right.
that there are great things that happen in
Mhm.
conjunction with this time of life.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Well, I would say, I don't know about you, but I would say for me, there's a level of self-confidence. And with that level of self-confidence, I have definitely noticed that I also have embraced a level of I don't care.
Right.
You know,
Agreed.
so I don't, and when I say that, it's like, of course, I'm always going to have compassion for people I care about.
Of course. Of
I'm not
course.
talking about big things. I'm talking about if
Yeah.
I have to run to the grocery store and I've been working remotely all day and I'm in pajama pants, a baggy t-shirt, and my hair up in a messy bun,
Right.
I don't care.
Right. Right. I don't think we are consumed about what society thinks of us. Now,
No.
I think we're going to talk in this season about the no more glow up, because I think
Mhm.
society tries to play games with us and convince us that we should be addressing the wrinkles
Right.
and all of the things. But I think this time of life could be such a time of freedom.
For sure.
And last week we talked about, like, no more production and having the confidence to say the thing,
Mhm.
to decide what your day looks like or your month looks like, and be okay with that. And of course,
Right.
that's going to be something that I'm working on. But I think you're right. I think it's not about caring less about people. It's
Mm-mm.
caring less about what they think of us.
Exactly, exactly. It's finally releasing the societal norms.
Yeah.
And if you wanna buy the bubblegum pink couch, buy the bubblegum pink couch, you know? I mean, whatever makes you happy,
Yeah.
and just truly embracing that joy. And the other thing I think we get to do it at this season, and I think it also has to do with the fact that our time's freed up a little bit, you know, unless we're caregivers for aging parents. I know we've got a set of people out there that definitely have to manage that.
That includes me.
Yeah, yeah. But with having a little more freedom of your time, we can get back in those play states, right? We can get
Yeah.
back and we can pick up that hobby that we had to put
Yeah.
aside when
Yeah.
we had, 3 or 4 kids running around and we were driving them all over the place, you
It'd be
know?
nice to be spontaneous, wouldn't it?
Yes, yes,
To
yes.
be
You can book the
spontaneous,
trip and you don't have to, and the logistics are so much easier when you're only buying 2 plane tickets.
right?
It's like,
It
where's everybody
is.
to sit on the plane?
You don't have to worry about everybody else.
Right,
You
right,
don't have to
right.
worry about else. I like I like talking about this new sense of freedom that
Mhm,
we can find in midlife, because again, if we don't talk about sort of the silver lining, and if we don't encourage women to be sensitive, to be looking for the things that we talked about, it doesn't mean
mhm.
we ignore the physical, and maybe socially we're feeling a little more isolated. We don't ignore, you know, that it's time to maybe tell someone that your mental health isn't where it needs to be, and
Mhm.
seeking out a therapist or speaking to a friend about all of this
Right.
is a great way towards empowering yourself,
Exactly. Agree, agree,
right?
agree.
Now, one thing I wanted to end with, because you said something that really caught my attention when we were building this episode, and
Ooh,
that
what's that?
was, I wanted you to tell our audience about menopause and emotions. What
Menopause and
is
emotions.
what you talked about, the fact that menopause doesn't cause.
Oh, right. I know what you're talking about. Yep, yep, yep. It has to do with the hormones, and it has to do with the shift of hormones.
Right.
And, kind of going back to how men like to blame our hysteria.
Yeah.
We're hysterics.
Yeah.
Likes to blame
Yeah.
our hysterias on our hormones and the fluctuation of hormones.
Right.
So I did do a little bit of research and I did start running down that path a little bit.
Yeah.
And what I found was what the science shows is that hormones don't drive emotions. It's more accurate to reframe this as they influence how our brains experience, regulate, and recover from emotions. Because as we lose as our body loses the ability to produce the estrogen,
Right.
we start to lose levels of serotonin and dopamines and norepinephrines that are all of these feel good hormones up in our brain.
Exactly.
So it's not, they don't create our emotions, but they influence our brain's
Right.
experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Yeah.
valid. That was a really good clarifying. Maybe maybe women shouldn't like blame themselves, and we should
No.
offer each other a little bit of grace and recognize yeah, pointing fingers and blaming doesn't help anyone, doesn't help any relationships at all. So we know
No.
this season can be uncomfortable. It can be even painful.
Right,
Um
right, right. Yeah.
right? But it
Right.
also leads to a stronger, more authentic sense of self. And that's what I think we need to hang on to.
Agree. Agree. If we ride the ride, if we're
Ride or
nimble,
die.
absolutely. If we're nimble and we, and
Yeah.
get a good support system, right? Have a good support system.
Yeah.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Right.
It will
Right.
get better. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it can be an amazing time if we
Yeah.
can get to a point where we can embrace the good things that come out of it.
Right. And you wanted to end the episode with asking our audience a question. Can you remember?
I have it right here. Wait, what? Wait. No, I don't have it here. What is the
Okay.
question?
Because it was a really good one. You said, what if what we're grieving isn't just menopause, but the version of ourselves we always expected would still be here? And just think about that,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
Right, right.
That opens the door to have this honest conversation that take a look, reflect, be curious about how you're feeling. We've talked about a gratitude practice, we've talked about journaling in the past. There's a multitude of experts out there to process. And I think that's really important.
No, agree, agree.
Right. And do you have anything else to add before we let our audience go this time?
Just to let you know that with everything you're feeling, with all of, anything about the grief or any of the rest of it, you may be irritable, you may be feeling like you're falling apart,
Yeah.
but just keep in mind that you're not falling apart. It might be just grieving parts of your life that are changing, and again, that's a piece that, at least for myself,
Yeah.
nobody ever prepared me for. Nobody ever prepared me for. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Truth. So
Yeah.
that door opens, that opens the door to an honest conversation that validates the losses,
Mm-hmm.
but also explores what might be waiting on the other side.
Yep. Yep.
And so, on that note, we want to encourage you to continue to listen to our season 2. You can find us on Facebook under Conversations Beyond Borders with You. We are on all the social platforms, and we look forward to any dialogue that you might want to have on this subject, because again, that's where I think we can support each other.
Yep, agree, agree.
Right?
And we are on all your favorite listening platforms. And don't forget to like and subscribe to help push us closer to the top of people's searches.
That's true. Yeah. It really helps us out a lot if you follow us and like our podcast. It will help us to spread the word. So glad you're a part of this conversation, and
see you next time. I don't remember.
and glad you're in it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. See you next time.